and we are rolling like some mother fluffers. And after I'm setting the exposure, because it never stays put from one video to another, I just wanted to make this video for so long, but I kept forgetting. And just now I've seen this other video from Ryan Bowen pop up in my recommendation lists. It's an older video, I think from 2018, and the title just got me triggered as a mother fluffer, like I just said. But then I obviously needed to have the composure to watch it till the end, not to just hurry up and make a video about it just because I read the title and felt like I have something to say. That's not how you do things. And usually I agree with most of the things from Ryan. So this one came a little bit as a surprise. Then I watched it, like I said, saw it wasn't that bad. It's kind of like a mixed bag with this one. Here's how it's going to go. I have a list of things that I wanted to discuss because there were just too many points that I wanted to address, and I didn't want to forget about any of them. Yeah, apparently my shiny head is just blending into the background. So let me just try to correct this thing just a little more. There we go. Now, before I get going, because this is going to be a funny one, let me just hydrate my throat because I'll need it. And yeah, feel free to interpret that however you wish. So, yeah, I guess there's only one way you can. So, if you'll excuse me on your time. I need to wash that cup. Anyhow, here's the thing. The title of his video was Overtraining Nonsense. And my video will probably be titled just the same in order to make like a sort of follow-up hint starting with the title. So obviously I got triggered because that's one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to people in the fitness industry, not just arm wrestling in general, but be it bodybuilding or any other type of activity. There's this camp of people who likes to say that there's no such thing as overtraining, and then they came up with like some nice play on words. There's no such thing as overtraining, but there's only such a thing as under eating and under sleeping and all sorts of things. I don't disagree with them, obviously. I know they're a fact, but they're a very tricky statement to make because they hide a lot of things behind. So here I'm going to address the elephant in the room once more because I have a gazillion of videos about these topics, which are the PEDs in general, and I want to convey my message and to just have like a dialogue between myself and the camera, which falls under the category of monologues, but still, here's me breaking down Ryan's video with quite a few points. So he wanted to establish his position from the get-go as being this guy who does not believe in overtraining. Obviously, from the title, we could all already see these things. It's not going to be as bad because he'll give you some counter arguments and some solutions and whatever, but here it goes. So, first of all, he began by saying that it is his philosophy and his opinion that blah 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 blah, and he's a firm believer of blah 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 blah, just like I am. Well, here's the thing. When we're discussing about overtraining as a general thing is a phenomenon that is happening physiologically within your body, and it is not just something that you can subject to philosophies, all sorts of philosophical discussions around it, opinions, what you think, what you believe. This is not about beliefs, as he said, and stuff like that. So, just to get it out of the way, this is not about what I think and what you think. This thing is something that happens in the body under many conditions. Yes, there are a lot of ways to prevent it, with the simplest one being just don't fucking overtrain if you have any sort of common sense. If not, you have to go deeper into the details, and the more you need to go into the details, the more it means that some of the common things don't make sense to you because you don't have common sense. But still, I'm not talking now about myself or Ryan. I'm talking about the audience that is usually watching these videos and coming up with their own ideas about the topic. So he came up with quite a few good points, and I have to agree with him 100%. Just like with those guys who say that there is a thing such as under eating and under sleeping, under recovering in general. He said that there is, however, such a thing as irresponsible training, and one of the very first things he said, he gave as an example of irresponsible training was too much volume. Again, I agree with what he's saying, and I completely know where he's getting at. But just if you like to look at the play on words here, irresponsible training, I absolutely agree with it. But then his prime example of irresponsible training was too much volume. He just said too much whatever, whether it's volume, whether it's intensity, whether it's, I don't care. Time under tension, doesn't matter. If it's too much of something, there's your first definition and example, which is actually a counter example to what you just said. That's your first example of overtraining. How do you overdo something? By doing too much of that something. He chose to say that there is such a thing as doing too much volume. There you go. That's one of the ways in which you can overtrain. But let's not get too focused on this, and let us proceed. I just wanted to break down some of the things, because we often have the tendency to want to follow a particular train of thought, but we kind of contradict ourselves from 1 second to the other. I'm also guilty of this myself. In this case, Ryan is doing it also, and all of us are doing it. You also, the guy or gal who's watching this, no matter what you think. So, going further, I wanted actually to say, just as, breaking it down a bit more generally, why would we ever put a pause on things and start discussing into deep details and diving deep into the notion of overtraining, whether it's a myth, a legend, some people believe in it, like it would be some sort of belief system. Some people don't agree with it because of some philosophies or some principles that they have. Dude, everything on this planet, in this universe, in this existence, reality, in nature, in general, call it whatever you want to, everything can be overdone. You can overeat, you can overthink, you can stress, you can overdose, you can overdrink, you can overfuck, you can do whatever the hell you're trying to do. If you're not doing it with moderation and with responsibility, you will end up overdoing it. And whenever you're overdoing something, it has its own set of consequences. From one activity to the other, the things might be very different, but the principle is just the same. Imagine people saying there's no such thing as overworking, there's no such thing as overeating, there's always plenty of room for more. There's no such thing as over breathing. And these are, let's say, more fundamental, even more fundamental activities that are supporting life, and you can still overdoing them. Imagine saying that there's no such thing as overtraining. That's just, I won't even say it, but I have to say it, it's just a complete idiotic bullshit because, I mean, I understand why it's being put out like this, because they're trying to eliminate other factors from the discussion, with people blaming a lot of stupid shit on overtraining when in reality they're just not doing things properly, just half-assing their way through things, or just abusing a lot of things, being irresponsible, just like Ryan said. But please do not just make general statements and bold statements like there's no such thing as whatever. Pretty much everything that you want to discard, you can already take the no such thing from the front of it, because there's always going to be some way in which that thing can be achieved. So that was just my small rant on too much of anything being too much, so you can overdo anything. Now, he said that he worked on his table time every day for 3 years. Now I'm slowly going to go into the PD domain. It's not about Ryan, it's about the general principle. I completely understand that he was not bashing himself completely at his table time. And I'm not saying at all that he was on any PEDs or whatever, but if I remove the name from the equation and I just look at this random guy who's saying in the same sentence that there's no such thing as overtraining, and that he's able to withstand the pressures of training, for example, table time every day for 3 years. First of all, that is just a big red flag for me in terms of PED usage, because you cannot recover yourself that fast, and your injuries are just going to accumulate very fast into even bigger injuries and tears and stuff like that, because table time just creates a shitload of inflammation. Usually people who are training table time, if they're natural, they know that they need quite a few days in between sessions. There's no such thing as training every day for 3 fucking years non-stop. But let's say Ryan is a phenom. I'm not discarding the possibility. Maybe it's just myself with my shitty understanding and shitty genetics, just blaming people for being able to do things that I'm just not able to do. I'm fully open to that possibility. But even if that is a possible reality, again, I just have to shed some light on the contradiction of him saying that there's no such thing as overdoing or anything in terms of training, hence overtraining. There's no such thing as overtraining, but and no buts for now. And he gave doing too much volume as a prime example of overtraining, but then he's going on with saying that he was training every day for 3 years in a row. Again, I fully understand that he was not having full-on matches and whatever. Still, putting any sort of pressure on your joints that is similar to what you can get from 3 years of non-stop table time every single fucking day, to me that is the definition of overtraining, and the most in the utmost way, in the most absurd way. So just letting it out there. Also, he touched upon some brief aspects of his early work where he had to work, do a lot of manual labor, and he had to carry heavy things for a prolonged period of time, and just when he was about to quit mentally, he realized that he needed to, I think if I'm quoting him correctly, he needed to sort of man the fuck up and work through the pain and stuff like that. That is not the first time when I'm hearing this, especially in this context with training or overtraining and stuff like that. This whole idea of no pain, no gain, and working through the pain, and just slamming pain with more pain, as if it's you versus your body, and you need to punish it in order to achieve something, and you need to constantly grind and be in misery and pain in order to strengthen your body and strengthen your mind and spirit and all of those things. I get the whole romantic idea of it, because I used to dabble in this for most of my life, until I realized that actually that was not the way, and I'm not here to impart my way on anyone. I'm just here to let you know that working through the pain, working against soreness, and not listening to your body, or listening to your body and giving him exactly what he's begging you not to do anymore. Just think of yourself as being your body, if it's not already obvious to you that you are your body, at least to some extent, or at least you are within your body, inside of your body. Think what would happen if someone else from the exterior would be doing this to you, your boss, your employer, or a spouse, or whatever the case might be. Think about people giving you shit when you cannot take it anymore, and you're already in pain, and you're hurting, you're suffering, and people are just throwing more shit at you just because whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Do you think that's the way to conquer things in life, or do you think that listening to your body and people listening to you would probably be a better way? And also, have you ever thought of the physiological meaning and implication of pain? Why do we have pain? Because let me tell you something, working through the pain is no big deal, because you can either do it mentally, or last resort you can take a shitload of drugs, and I don't mean the illegal ones, even over-the-counter anti-inflammatory, or even other stronger types of drugs that just help ease down the pain, numb the pain, make it go away temporarily, so that you can work through the pain without even having to work through the pain, because it's the pain is alleviated. That's not the point. The point is that you have pain for a reason. Otherwise, just like I said with the drugs, your body might have just as well not give you pain in the first place, or just secrete some adrenaline or whatever, just to help shut down the pain so that you can continue working. That's the fucking thing. Nature left us with a very complex mechanism of generating pain, because it would have been a lot more simple, contrary to popular belief. It would have been a lot simpler for nature not to have this complex mechanism of generating pain and inflammation. It could have just went on to just repair the damage without causing such a big fuss out of the whole thing. However, we do have such a complex mechanism that is intentionally prohibiting you from doing what you just did, which caused this pain. because it's actually trying to repair things, and it's trying to prevent you from fucking yourself up even more, even worse, or completely. So just in case you haven't thought of this, which should be like common sense to everyone, there is a reason for why we have pain. And again, this is already an off-topic thing. It's not addressed to Ryan Bowen. He never even made a huge deal out of it, but I'm making a huge deal out of it because I see a lot of people having this no pain, no gain mentality, as opposed to finding way smarter approaches to stimulate the body, not just the muscle, but stimulate the body in general, instead of just beating the crap out of it and being happy when it apparently grows bigger and stronger. It doesn't grow bigger and stronger, it grows slightly stronger due to irreparable damage that you're slowly accumulating. You think it's not irreparable because you're able to repair it, but in time you will see that you have tiny buildups of all of these irreparable things, which eventually lead to a lot of problems, which again in turn lead to the bubble just bursting sooner or later. But anyhow, so manning the fuck up and working through the pain, I get the spiritual benefits and the whole psychological implications of all of those things. Yes, it's needed and many times, but not involuntary training. That should be fun, and it should be a good pretext for you to actually study anatomy and physiology and biochemistry and all of those things in order to find the proper way of doing things, not just doing things the medieval way of bashing your head against the tree just to make your skull thicker and able to withstand higher pressures for the next time when you're encountering a bison or whatever other creature in the forest, and you have to butt heads with it. So yeah. Also, I have here, I would say, an interesting analogy with respect to something that Ryan said, and actually he had this analogy, which I get it, hit home base for him, but also hit home base for me in a completely different way. Here's the thing. If you haven't watched his video, by the way, you shouldn't have been here in the first place. First go watch his video, then mine, if you want to. But his is a must. And I'm not doing those reactions where I start putting his content on my screen, because that's not the way I do things, right? So you have to go watch it on his channel and support his channel in doing so. So back to my rant here. He had this hostage analogy, and it was related to squatting as an example. So if someone would have kidnapped your family and would have given you 12 months to develop like an insane squat of whatever, 300 pounds or even more, doesn't matter, something way outside of your limits, and these guys would tell you that if you're unable to achieve this by the deadline, they would kill your family. Which road would you take? Would you take the road of training smart, which is training and then letting your body recover and whatever, or would you just obsessively train no matter what, even if it's breaking your body in half? You would do everything in order to achieve that squat. I fully get it, and I'm not going to dissect this further because I get it so well, and I completely understand all of the psychological implications of what he's trying to convey. However, let me ask you this thing. Don't you think that equating such a work mode when you're trying to develop the optimal way of training is really counterproductive? Because in this analogy, you're actually being terrified, frightened, scared, you're panicking, and all of these things lead to, guess what? Irrational behavior. And when you have irrational behavior because you have to do whatever you can in order to save your family, in his analogy, yes, you might be achieving your goal at the end by working obsessively every other 5 minutes for those squats because you're just too terrified to take any otherwise normal rest period because you know that the clock is ticking. But again, fear and fright and panic just develops irrational behavior, which is also the case when it comes to equating this thing with training. So in doing so and in having irrational behavior, again, even if you achieve it, that does not mean that it's the best way just because you were there on time and you were able to perform whatever you had to perform in order to achieve your objective. And the other even bigger catch is, was it worth it? Yeah, I'm absolutely agreeing that in the case with the family, it's worth it. But when it comes to training, is it actually worth it to just become completely obsessed with this whole thing and overtraining your body to the point of exhaustion and failure and risking injuries and even having injuries piling up just because you're on this race against whatever the fuck is in your is on your mind, time or other things, I don't know, pursuit of glory or whatever. This sense of urgency that makes you do all of these erratic things, is it actually worth it to just beat your body down to a pulp and achieve some metrics as, I don't know, being first place in this competition or becoming even world champion or whatever, if at the end of the day you'll have surgeries on top of surgeries and you'll be on pain medication for the rest of your life, you'll be having steel rods and metal plates in your arms or spine or whatever the case might be. You'll have replaced hips, plastic cartilages, metal pins and screws all throughout your body, and that's just the beginning of it. I don't even want to dive any deeper in this thing because it just it is my conviction that you already got the point by now. So again, is it worth it just because you're able to achieve your objective faster? And here's the thing, I don't think you're achieving it faster. If you would be able to have the composure, even in his analogy with the with saving your family, if you would be able to have composure, you would be able to have rational thinking, which I know is very hard or even impossible in that situation. But if you would be able to have such a thing going on, probably, and I'm actually quite sure, you probably be able to achieve that squat at the 9-month mark, or 8 months, or 6 months, or 10 months, whatever, or even 12 months. Even if you're at the 12-month mark and you think it's all the same, it's not the same, because by doing it responsibly, you're not fucking yourself for it. Again, with the parents and family, I get it, but here we're talking about training, so don't be a fucking moron. Even if you have to choose between like doing something in 12 months or doing the same thing in 5 years, again, in my opinion, it's not worth it. Wanting to become champion overnight and fucking yourself up, I'd much rather not be a champion at all, not to mention be a champion within 5 years. Absolutely amazing. Right, so yeah. That being said, I had just 2 more things here. So I wanted to talk about always training heavy but without injury, which is something that Ryan said, and I completely agree with him. But here's the thing, soreness in itself is injury. Whether you want to call it micro injury or whatever, it is injury. And guess what injury signals at the point when you start having any type of injury, whether it's micro, macro, whatever, I don't care if your bones snap in half or if you have micro tears throughout your body, that is overtraining. And please stop saying that that's the only way to make your body grow stronger, because you have to break it down so that it rebuilds itself as being bigger and stronger and faster and whatever. No, it doesn't. I'll probably make a complete separate video on why that thing is not true. But for now, please just try to understand that your body is trying to build itself back to where it was. It does not have this this long-term vision of making you a Wolverine, so that next time you're faced with this stimulus, you will be able to withstand it. That's our interpretation of what's happening. The overshoot that we're observing is because of different physiological processes. And if you don't believe me, just continue not doing anything, and you'll see that the overshoot is going away, which shows you that your body did not permanently build itself to withstand anything. It was, again, a slight overshoot caused by different things. If you guys want to hear more about these things, let me know down in the comment sections. In the comment section below, I'll make a separate video about this, because this one's already getting super long. So back to what Ryan was saying. Again, I agree with him about always training heavy but without injury, and now it's a matter of interpretation on what heavy means. It does not mean, in my opinion, to train your 1 rep max every day or to go to failure but without injury, as long as I did not snap my spine in half. No, without injury, in my opinion, is again, without any sort of trauma. So my definition of heavy is go as heavy as you can, as long as you're not creating any macro injury, as such as muscle tears, tendon blowing, or tendons blowing off, or whatever, or bones breaking, but also micro tears and inflammation and stuff like that, soreness in general. So I'll let you be the judge of what heavy means based on these things that I just said. And the very last thing would be, again, I agree with Ryan on this, but my personal advice is that instead of training your ass off today, for example, and then having to recover for several days or 1 week or 10 days, thinking that in all this time your body is just reinforcing your tendons with steel, it is my firm belief, and I've experienced this so many times, that keeping your body active while training daily, even several times a day, with super moderate intensity and weights. And again, it's a matter of interpretation what moderate weights or light weights or heavy weights means. Try to test yourself in order to be able to train every day, even several times a day, hitting the same muscle group or tendons or whatever, and do this for a very extended period of time, because training like this just for 1 week does not mean you have a consistency and it can go like this forever. You might as well just fail in your second week. Try to keep this going on for months and months and months in a row without having soreness, without having any injuries, any problems. You will see how every day you're progressively going up. Doesn't matter if it's linear or exponential or logarithmic or whatever. You're going to go up. Why? Because first of all, your central nervous system, your CNS, which is heavily neglected, is being kept alive and pumping and awake, and also your body in terms of its micronutrients, its carb inflow and outflow, its water retention, its minerals, and all other types of salts that are involved in muscle contraction and things like sodium or potassium and calcium and magnesium and all of those things that are needed in order to be able to have powerful muscle contraction, but also explosiveness and all of those other metrics that we're interested in. You have to keep your body awake and not let it go to sleep. You might think that you're able to keep it working and kicking for days in a row after you're kicking the shit out of it in the gym or at the table, in our case with arm wrestling. And that's just the way things go. But again, please try to look at the alternative where you're actually every couple of hours, every few tens of minutes, you're just gripping on something, you're curling on something, you're stretching something, you're pumping something, pressing, lifting, pushing with moderate intensity, but good enough so that you can do this every few hours, basically non-stop, every day, every week, every month, every year. Trust me, keeping your body alive like this progressively increases your ability to do things like now if you need to. You don't even need to keep because you're keeping yourself awake physiologically, you don't even need to warm up anymore that much in the classical sense, where you kind of have to wake up from the physiological slumber, and you have to wake all things up and set the gears in motion and all that thing. So yeah, that's the second time in this video when my nostrils are just going. Anyhow, let me know what you guys thought about this super lengthy video. Again, I usually kind of agree with almost everything that Ryan says. Sometimes just a little bit here and there, I have my different opinions. Also this time, although it might look like I'm bashing him or whatever, it's completely not the case. And also still here, I'm agreeing with quite a lot of things. I would say it's probably like 50-50. I agree with a lot of things. With some things I disagree, and with some things it's not that I agree or disagree, it's just that I have a slightly different opinion, and I kind of like to explain things in a better light, at least from my perspective. Because with some of the things he was saying, I felt like we were on the same page, but his choice of words kind of led possibly some people into believing the opposite. So that's why I just wanted to address these things and make a few remarks from my side. If you like this video, just click the thumbs up. If you disliked it, click thumbs down. I'm expecting quite a few this time due to the nature of the video. So yeah, hate, troll, share, subscribe, unsubscribe. Again, as long as we can keep it civilized and friendly, and we can engage ourselves in interesting conversations, it's all great. I mentioned throughout this video that I'm addressing this also from the PD perspective, but I didn't want to make like a super big fuss out of it. You kind of got towards, you got where I was hinting at when I said these things just a few times. Usually it's people who are on some sort of enhancement who honestly start believing that there's probably no such thing as overtraining, and it's just people doing things wrong just because in their experience their recovery is at a completely different level, or it doesn't even have to be at a completely different level. Just like I said in one of my previous videos for PDs, even if it's like 1% or 5% of a difference, which usually it's a lot more, but let's just say for the sake of argument, it's even 1%. If you're able to recover better than I am able to by 1% each day, maybe that 1% will accumulate day after day for me, so that within let's say 30 days I'm no longer able to keep up, and I feel depressed. I'm starting to wear my body down, and I'm just slowly destroying myself. Whereas you can just maintain your level of float. You can stay afloat without any problem. Or let's just say that I'm able to stay afloat, but also I'm not seeing any progress. Whereas you, on the other hand, my shoulder just popped, which is a trademark of my channel by now. So I'm staying afloat, but because you have this 1% boost in your recovery, and not just recovery but in general, this 1% accumulates for you in the positive side of the spectrum, so that you can actually make progressive gains from one training session to the other, and while myself, I'm just barely keeping myself afloat. So again, whether it's the PD guys who are staying afloat and we're just going down, or we're keeping ourselves steady but with no progress and they're going up, or a combination of the two, or actually it's the extreme of both. We're going down if we're training natural, but applying the training methodology that guys on PDs are recommending, and vice versa, they'll just be going up. Again, this is not about Ryan. I obviously have no idea if he ever did anything, and my cursor was there all this time. Great. Not that I have too much of a professional setup here, but anyway, back to Ryan. So I'm not saying that he was ever on anything. Have no idea, and I really don't care. I still look up to the guy just as much, no matter what. The only thing that I was hinting towards was that usually such claims are coming from people who do not feel the downsides of not getting recovered, in the same fashion as we tend to feel this thing happening. It's not the same level. It's completely different levels. So such claims are usually coming from such people, but not hating, not blaming, not pointing fingers at anyone. I'm just saying, no problem if you use anything, or if you abuse anything, or no matter if it's just this bit of this one compound, or you're just blasting and cruising. I don't care. All the power to you. Just please be a bit considerate when you're offering such advice, so that you can just push yourself to the limit, have PRs every day, and just kill it and grind every day for PRs and stuff like that. I think that this is also what Ryan was referring to when he said that he believes more in irresponsible training as opposed to overtraining. But I already gave you my super long opinion on that, so I will not be revising the whole video right at the end. Again, let me know what you guys thought, and until next time, I'm out, and sorry for the lengthy video. I just had to make it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, kiss you and good night.